Hi, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is Heartbreak Hotel. The reason I'm choosing that topic is because we often can associate when we have a breakup or have the close of a relationship, associate ourselves as being heartbroken. So and I'm going through the close of a relationship with somebody that I deeply love and really value, and my heart aches, and I am grieving, and I feel sad, and I feel emotional upset, and a lot of questioning the self and evaluating, and just shock, shock at how quickly things changed. And ultimately, I believe that we have different aims. I don't think that anyone is right or wrong. I think that sometimes we come to realize that we just want different things, but it can still feel like, like, I love you. I thought we were going to be together, and I'm really sad that we're not. And I do know in any relationship I've had in this life, if I ever come to that realization, it is very sad to me. I feel sad because not right or wrong. There's no right or wrong way to engage with love or sex or any of it, so long as there's consent present. So, but for me, I'm very loyal. I'm very monogamous. I refer to myself as a long-termer. I'm a long-termer. Like I want a forever lover. And sometimes we may think we're moving towards that and just find that, I think we want different things when it comes to like communication, which is a core foundational component of a romantic or any relationship, really. And so you just realize you're kind of different. You may have different attachment styles. So the first thing I want to say around Heartbreak Hotel is around the word heartbreak. When you have a breakup, when you have a relationship that ends, do you affirm to yourself, like, my heart is broken? My ego wants to do that. My heart is broken, and I'm grieving, and my heart hurts, and I miss him, and I miss so many things that were also very healthy and a gift in our union. But my ego might want to frame that as I'm heartbroken. My heart is broken. And your heart is not broken. And I don't think that's a great affirmation. I think one of the things I'm working on right now, and I work on as a general rule, if I ever have a relationship end, is to reframe that as my heart is growing. My heart is expanding. My heart is expanding into knowing. And it's come to know many things. Love is not enough, because I love deeply. And I continue every year of my life to love myself more, which means I have more love to give the ones that I love, and more ability to receive love, because love is becoming more of the matrix of my consciousness. But love is not enough. You can love someone really deeply and just be so foundationally distinct and different that it ultimately doesn't lead to y'all's highest good or highest health to necessarily be together. Another thing I wanted to point out, aside from like the reframe on heartbreak, hotel meaning like building or state of mind that you're in. So reframing that heartbreak state of mind to one of heart growth, heart expansion, heart awareness, heart learning, which is one reframe that I'm working on. And the second component is looking at attachment styles. My beloved friend taught me about attachment styles. All blessings and props to Magnolia for teaching me about this. But when I learned about it, I was like, man, I wish I knew about this ages ago, because I feel like in several relationships, the challenge was not that we are either one of us is terrible people or wrong, or we aren't capable of making it work. The challenge that we faced is that we had different attachment styles. So one attachment style that a two-legged can have is a secure attachment style, and that's a great lesson to us all. May we all step into that more. Another attachment style you can have is anxious, where you have a lot of anxiety, and you might really feel, if you get into a disagreement, really anxious if the other person kind of needs space, because it feels like abandonment. Another attachment style might be avoidant, where you actually need a lot of space, and somebody being anxious and wanting to be close when you're having conflict can actually make you want more space. So when we have different attachment styles, you might find that an anxious is in the chase and the avoidant is in the flee, and then we never find a middle ground because there's nowhere for us to be together to have a sound, resolute answer to the situation. So if you can understand your attachment style, and you can look up attachment style quiz and take a quiz, and you can have your partner, if they're open to it, doing that too. But if you learn that one of you is anxious attached and one of you is avoidant attached, the avoidant attached can learn the life skill of communicating. I need space. I'm going to take a day, or I'm going to take a walk. I will be back in an hour, and I will let you know if I need more space, but I am letting you know that I'm going to come back to communicate, and I'm not abandoning you. And the anxious attached, as well, can understand that their partner needs space, and that when conflict is present, they need to kind of assess, and space does not mean abandonment, and so both parties can use that information to kind of garner greater health in the relationship. And I feel like that's, I'm like, oh, first of all, I thought I understood my attachment style based on the quizzes I took today. I am like, anxious avoidant, which is like the hardest type of person to be with. So bless all of y'all that have ever dated me. But it's the hardest type to be with because I can feel anxious and have abandonment issues. My dad was dead before I was 2 years old. So obviously there's going to be abandonment issues there. I'm going to have fears that, it's not going to get resolved, that going away means forever. I've had a lot of death. There's definitely that communication in my matrix when my personality was developed from 0 to 7. And I can also have avoidant because I also had a mother that on her own, by herself, raised 3 kids, and there wasn't anyone else there helping, and she did it alone, and she had to be very independent. And so I kind of received both, which is challenging. So I can come to understand that about myself and be compassionate to any partner I have, that challenge that I might bring into the relationship, but also be compassionate to myself, that it's like, okay, if I'm getting activated and feeling like I need to flee, and it's okay if I'm getting activated and feeling like I need to cling. So we can reframe heartbreak. We can get to know our matrix of attachment. How is it we attach when we get in relationship? How is our partner attaching when they get in relationship? Oh, maybe it's not that you're just like a runner and an avoider. Maybe it's that you've been conditioned to not face the music or face the conversation, or, we don't have to like judge everything and make everything so super villainous. Another way that I bring peace to myself because it's hard as somebody who identifies monogamous, loyal, long-term, it's really hard for me when separation happens. I miss them. I grieve. I miss their mind. I miss the harmony we experienced in the timeline. I miss the joys. I miss the laughter. I miss the heart-to-heart connection. I miss the sweetness, the beauty of their being around the beauty of their being. So another thing that supports me when it comes to the rupture of a romantic relationship is to just be aware that all relationships are eternal. Because part of what happens is like, I might never see or talk to this person again. Could just be we're having space. Could be I never talk to them again. And that feels like loss. And it triggers all of my grief and all of my loss, which is a bunch. And makes me feel really disconnected from a being that I dearly love. So one of the things that also helps me when I have a transition in a romantic relationship like this is to remember that all relationships are eternal. And this comes from my perspective and belief system. So if you don't hold a similar belief system, this part isn't for you. Please disregard. But if you do, you might find peace in this medicine too. It helps me to understand that my relationship with every lover I've ever had is eternal, and irrespective of what unfolds, actually my relationship with every two-legged I've ever engaged with and every two-legged that's ever existed is eternal, because I am spirit, which is eternal. Atomically, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. I'm only made of atoms. I am eternal. And so I can just realize that these relationships are eternal, and maybe I wasn't able to find the space, the place, the way to create harmony in our coming together in this particular lifetime, but to just feel peace and that we will meet again on the other side or in another lifetime. And usually when I when I have a relationship end, I spend a lot of time praying for them, praying for their graces, praying for understanding, praying for forgiveness if they feel the need to judge, praying that I forgive if I feel the need to judge, and just, really praying that we can find a way one day, maybe in another life, maybe on the other side, or maybe in this life, we can come back and find a way to harmonize in a way that's really healthy and respectful to both of us, Another piece I wanted to speak to, because one of the things I'm challenged by as a long-term learner, anytime I get to a place where it's time to walk away for whatever reason, could just be differences in our matrices, is I find it very challenging. I find it very challenging to let go. And so another component I want to speak to is giving yourself permission to know what is respectful to you, what is honorable to you, there have been many relationships in my life. I've sacrificed my self-respect. I've said I want to have XYZ boundary of, like, I'm not going to tolerate XYZ behavior. And then I just don't even enforce the boundary because I just want to be with the one I love. Love is not enough. That's been a big lesson for me, because I was like, love is enough. Love is all there is. Love is the answer. La, la, la. But just because you love someone doesn't mean you're necessarily a good match or that you harmonize well together. You may have different attachment styles. You may have different aims. If you're going to have a beloved, it helps for y'all to have some semblance of a similar vision as far as where you're headed, what you seek. So there can be a lot of things that can cause a relationship to not come into harmony. And can you give yourself permission? That's what I've been struggling with this past month, is just the realization of our differences. It's felt to me, and I've perceived, that we seek different things. And that is so sad. And it's something that it would be very easy for me to ignore. But one of the final components I want to speak to on this piece of a relationship ending is, or maybe you're getting close to feeling like you're at a relationship that should end, is, can you honor your truth? My truth is that I have boundaries now around certain ways of being, and they're pretty strong. And because my history is to not keep them enforced, because my history is to put Heather at the bottom of the totem pole, the bottom of the list, put her on the back burner, and sacrifice this decision I've made that is one of self-respect, self-love, and self-care, it can be an active practice for me to remember and activate, oh, yeah, we're going to honor Heather. We're going to honor this boundary because it was created because I learned that this boundary is needed for me to actively be walking and loving the self. So can you just honor your intuitive knowing of what serves? A lot of times we really hold tight to relationships that may be better in a different matrix, like a work relationship or a friendship, as opposed to a romantic relationship, and we just kind of went romantic because we've had sexual trauma or things that cause us to be overly activated to assume that things are sexual in nature. Whatever that is, can you reevaluate the relationship? Maybe it needs to be a different dynamic. Maybe you do really well as business partners or as friends, but just don't make the best lovers because you have different aims in the romantic vein. And if you can't do that, I mean, in a relationship, when you recognize that your core values are not being met, or that in order to remain in the relationship, you have to take self-respect and throw that on the ground, can you give yourself permission to create change, and do that compassionately without judgment? It's not that anyone's right or wrong. It's just that I notice that our matrices coming together lends attention to areas that I don't intend to focus on. I want to focus on this, or I want to, can you just be honest with yourself and honest with your beloved and as clear as possible so that you can constantly be moving towards your healthiest options when it comes to the concept of relationship. May you honor yourself this day. You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube. Like, comment there. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And there are many services at rarebirdmedicine.com. Blessed be.